I left my husband because he couldn't get over his parents dying, and I don't feel guilty about it. 5 years ago, John's parents died in a car crash. He went into our bedroom and never came back out. I'm not exaggerating. He literally stayed in bed 5 years straight. At first, I understood. I gave him space. I thought he'd heal with time. But weeks turned into months. Months turned into years, and nothing changed. I worked 60-hour weeks as a nurse, raised our daughter alone. Every morning, I'd wake up at 5 a.m., make breakfast, get Connor ready for school, then cook John's meal, and bring it upstairs on a tray. He'd barely look at me, just take the plate and turn back to the wall. When I got home at 7 p.m., the empty plate would still be sitting on the nightstand, sometimes with the food half eaten. The room smelled stale. The curtains stayed closed. He'd order takeout with my credit card when I was at work, hundreds of dollars a month. Our 6-year-old daughter kept asking why Daddy wouldn't come downstairs, why he didn't want to play with her anymore. I ran out of excuses. Daddy's just tired. Sweetie, Daddy's not feeling well. Daddy will come down soon. But he never did. We hadn't been intimate in 5 years. He hadn't kissed me, hadn't held me. I was sleeping on the couch because I couldn't stand lying next to someone who felt like a stranger. I was drowning, and he didn't even notice. The house was falling apart. Dishes piled in the sink. Laundry overflowed from the hamper. I'd come home exhausted and spend 2 more hours cleaning before I could even think about sleeping. I was burning out, and I knew it. Last Tuesday, I finally broke. I walked into that dark bedroom, sat on the edge of his bed, and took his hand. It felt cold. "John," I said softly, "please, I need you to hear me. I can't keep doing this. Connor misses you. I miss you. We need you to try, even just a little bit." He looked at me with hollow eyes. A single tear rolled down his cheek. "I don't know if I can." "You have to," I said, my voice cracking. "I'm begging you. Get up. Go to therapy. Do something. Anything." He pulled his hand away. "You don't understand what it's like to lose your parents." That's when something inside me snapped. "Are you serious right now?" I stood up, my hands shaking. "You're telling me I don't understand loss? You were getting your master's degree when we met. You had dreams. I supported you through everything. I paid your tuition. I paid the mortgage. I worked 70-hour weeks so you could study." My voice got louder. "And you remember what happened during that time? My brother Andrew died. My little brother, the person I grew up with, and I couldn't even go to his funeral because I was working double shifts to keep food on our table." John stared at the ceiling, silent. "When Drew died, I didn't get to stay in bed. I didn't get to grieve. I had to get up the next morning and go to work because you were in school and we had bills to pay. I was there for you when you needed me every single time. When you dropped out halfway through the semester, I still paid for those classes, thousands of dollars. When you said you needed therapy, I found you the best therapist in the city and paid for every session. When you cried, I held you. When you needed me to be strong, I was strong." Tears were streaming down my face now. I was depressed too, John. I didn't want to get out of bed either. But I did it anyway because our family needed me. Because Connor needed me. Because you needed me. And now I need you. "And you're telling me you can't even try?" He said nothing, just laid there staring at nothing. "Do you have anything to say?" I asked. Silence. I felt like I was talking to a corpse. I grabbed my keys, woke up Connor, and left. Got a hotel room across town. Connor asked why Daddy wasn't coming. I told him Daddy needed rest. That night, John called me 17 times, sent 32 texts. "Come home. We need to talk. Please." I texted back once. "I'll see you tomorrow." Then I turned my phone to do not disturb. I couldn't sleep, so I opened my banking app to check our account. My heart stopped. $17,000 had been withdrawn in the past month, all while I was at work. I scrolled through the transactions with shaking hands. Gas stations across 3 different states, hotel charges, restaurant bills for 2 people. I called the bank immediately, my voice barely working. The representative confirmed the charges were all made with John's card. "Ma'am," she said carefully, "these locations suggest your husband has been traveling extensively." My mind went blank because John supposedly hadn't left that bed in 5 years. I sat there in that hotel room, staring at my phone screen until my eyes burned. Connor was asleep in the bed next to me, curled up under the scratchy hotel comforter. The numbers on my banking app didn't change no matter how many times I refreshed. $17,000. Gone. I went through every single transaction. Shell gas station in Virginia, $47. Best Western in Kentucky, $89. Olive Garden, $62. Applebee's, $55. On and on. The dates went back months, all during times I was at work pulling double shifts. I felt like I was losing my mind. I mean, how does someone who can't get out of bed drive to Virginia? How does someone too depressed to play with his daughter manage to eat at restaurants 2 states away? I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there in the dark, listening to Connor breathe and trying to figure out what the hell was happening. By the time the sun came up, I'd made a decision. I was going home, and John was going to explain every single charge. Connor woke up around 7 asking for pancakes, so I took her to the hotel breakfast area and watched her pile her plate with waffles and fruit while I drank burnt coffee and tried to keep my hands from shaking. She kept asking when we were going home, and I kept saying soon. "Sweetie, soon." We got back to the house around 9 in the morning. I'd been gone less than 24 hours, but somehow it felt like everything had changed. I pulled into the driveway and just sat there for a minute, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Then I saw movement through the kitchen window. I blinked, looked again. Someone was definitely in the kitchen, moving around like a normal person. I got out of the car slowly, telling Connor to wait a second, and walked up to the front door. My key turned in the lock like always. The smell hit me first. Coffee. Fresh coffee. Not stale air and sadness. Actual fresh brewed coffee. I walked through the hallway into the kitchen and stopped dead. John was standing at the counter pouring coffee into a mug. He was fully dressed, jeans, a button-down shirt, his hair was combed. He looked like a regular person. He looked like the man I married, before everything fell apart. He turned when he heard me, and the look on his face was casual, almost annoyed. "Where'd you go?" he asked. "Why'd you take Connor in the middle of the night?" I couldn't speak. My brain literally couldn't process what I was seeing. This was the man who hadn't left bed in 5 years. The man I'd been bringing meals to on a tray. The man who couldn't even sit up for more than 10 minutes without saying he was exhausted. "Hello?" John said, setting his coffee down. "Are you going to answer me? You scared me half to death. I woke up and you were gone." "You woke up," I repeated slowly. My voice sounded weird, like it was coming from someone else. "Yeah," he said, looking at me like I was crazy. "You left in the middle of the night without saying anything. What was I supposed to think?" Connor came running in from behind me, her backpack bouncing. "Daddy!" she yelled, excited. But then she stopped, looking confused. You're downstairs." "Of course I'm downstairs," John said. But something flickered across his face. Something like panic, just for a second. Where else would I be? That's when I pulled out my phone. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped it, but I managed to pull up the banking app and shove it in his face. "Explain this," I said. My voice came out louder than I meant. "Explain where $17,000 went." John's face changed. All the color drained out of it. He looked at the phone, then at me, then back at the phone. That's not. "Gas stations in Virginia," I said, my voice getting higher. "Hotels in Kentucky. Restaurants in 3 different states. All on your card. All while I thought you were upstairs in bed, unable to function. Honey, I can explain." "Don't call me honey," I snapped. "You don't get to call me honey. Where have you been, John? Where the hell have you been while I've been killing myself trying to keep this family together?" Connor started crying. I could hear her behind me making these little scared sounds, but I couldn't stop. 5 years of exhaustion and rage were pouring out of me, and I literally could not stop. "Someone must have stolen my card information," John said quickly. "It happens all the time. Credit card fraud. We need to call the bank and report it." I actually laughed. It came out mean and sharp. "Credit card fraud," I repeated. "The gas stations form a perfect route, John. Look at them. Shell in Richmond, BP in Lexington, Mobil in Nashville. Someone stole your card and decided to take a really organized road trip. I don't know how fraud works. And the hotels?" I continued, scrolling. "Multiple charges at the same hotels. Same locations over and over for months. This isn't fraud. This is a pattern. This is someone traveling regularly to the same places. You're being paranoid. Show me your phone," I demanded. "What? Your phone. Show it to me. Right now." John took a step back. "That's insane. You can't just demand to see my phone. I pay for that phone," I said. "I pay for everything. The mortgage, the bills, your food, everything. For 5 years, I've been doing everything while you laid in bed. So yeah, I can demand to see your phone. Show me." "No," John said. His jaw was set. "You're acting crazy. I'm not showing you my phone." Connor was full-on sobbing now, saying, "Stop, stop," over and over, but I was already moving. I pushed past John and headed for the stairs. I could hear him behind me saying, "Wait, don't," but I didn't care. I knew where he kept his phone. On his nightstand, charging. Same place it had been for 5 years. I ran up the stairs and into our bedroom, and sure enough, there it was. "Give me that," John said right behind me, reaching for it, but I was faster. I grabbed the phone and stepped away, holding it close to my chest. "What's the password?" I asked. "I'm not telling you the password." "Fine," I said, and I tried his birthday. It unlocked immediately. Same password as always. I opened his photos first. Just started scrolling, and what I found made my stomach drop. Pictures, hundreds of pictures. John at a beach, John at a restaurant, John on a hiking trail with mountains in the background, John sitting on a dock with a sunset behind him. All recent, all within the past year. His hair was the same length as now. He was wearing clothes I recognized from our closet. "Let me explain," John said, but his voice sounded far away. I kept scrolling. More photos. John at what looked like a farmer's market. John holding an ice cream cone and smiling at the camera. John in front of a cabin somewhere woodsy. And then I noticed her. In some of the photos, there was someone else. Just the edge of a person. Like they'd been cropped out, but not completely. A woman's arm, long brown hair, a shoulder. Always the same person. I went back through the photos more carefully. There, and there, and there again. The same woman, always partially visible, like John had tried to crop her out, but hadn't done a perfect job. "Who is this?" I asked, my voice shaking. I held up the phone showing one of the pictures where you could see her pretty clearly, standing next to him at a restaurant. John didn't answer. He just stood there looking at the floor. I opened his messages, scrolled through. There were a lot of names I didn't recognize, but one caught my eye. Mike. Except I knew all of John's friends, and he didn't have a mic. I opened the conversation. The messages made me feel sick. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Last night was amazing. I miss you already." Heart emojis. Pictures I'm not going to describe. These weren't messages to Mike. These were messages to a woman. He'd just saved her under a man's name. "You've been having an affair," I said. It wasn't a question. John looked up at me, and I swear to God, he looked almost relieved, like he was glad it was finally out. "It's not what you think," he said. "Then what is it?" I demanded. "What is it, John? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been sneaking out of the house every day while I worked, driving hours away to meet some woman. spending our money on hotels and dinners, all while I thought you were too depressed to get out of bed. Her name is Patricia, John said quietly. I actually felt my heart crack. Hearing him say her name made it real in a way that seeing the pictures hadn't. How long? I asked. 2 years. 2 years. 2 years he'd been lying to me. 2 years I'd been working myself to death while he played house with someone else. I met her in an online grief support group, John continued. He was talking faster now. Like if he just explained it the right way, I'd understand. After my parents died. She lost her husband a few years before that and she got it. She understood what I was going through in a way you never could. I never could, I repeated flatly. You were always so strong, John said. You just kept going, kept working, kept pushing through. You didn't understand what it was like to feel like you're drowning, to feel like you can't breathe. Are you kidding me right now? I interrupted. Are you seriously standing there telling me I didn't understand? My brother died, John. My little brother who I grew up with, and I didn't get to grieve because I was too busy taking care of you. That's different. How? I demanded. How is it different? Because you decided your pain was more important than mine. Because you decided you deserved to check out of our life while I held everything together. John didn't answer that. He just looked at me with those sad eyes. The same eyes that used to make me want to comfort him, but now they just made me angry. So you've been leaving every day, I said. After I go to work, you get up, get dressed, and drive to see Patricia. Not every day, John said. A few times a week. She lives about 3 hours away. We meet at this cabin. I don't care where you meet. I cut him off. Pack your things. Get out of my house. It's not your house, John said, and his voice got harder. It's our house. My name is on the mortgage too. You can't just kick me out. I stared at him. After everything, after lying to me for 2 years, after stealing from our bank account, after abandoning his daughter, he was really going to stand there and argue about property rights. Fine, I said. Then I'm leaving. Come on, Connor. I grabbed Connor's hand and walked out. She was crying so hard she could barely walk, asking what was happening. Why was Daddy acting weird? And I just kept saying, "It's okay, baby. It's okay," even though nothing was okay. We went back to the hotel, the same one from the night before. I got us checked in for another night, and then just sat on the bed while Connor watched cartoons, my mind completely blank. Around 8 that evening, my phone rang. My sister, Amy. I picked up and immediately started crying. What happened? Amy demanded. Are you okay? Is Connor okay? I told her everything. The bank account, the photos, Patricia, all of it. When I finished, there was a long silence. Then Amy said, in this super calm voice that was somehow scarier than if she'd been yelling, I'm coming there, right now. Text me the hotel address. Amy, you don't have to. I'm already getting in my car, she said. You're not doing this alone. Text me the address. She showed up 2 hours later with a bag of fast food and a laptop. We put Connor to bed in the other room, and then Amy opened her computer on the hotel desk. Okay, she said. First things first. We're opening you a new bank account that he doesn't have access to. Tomorrow, you're going to change your direct deposit to go into this new account instead of the joint one. He doesn't get another penny of your money. I nodded. I felt numb, like I was watching this happen to someone else. Second, Amy continued, pulling up websites and taking notes. You need documentation. Every transaction, every photo, every text message, screenshot everything. Save it all to a cloud drive that he can't access. You're going to need it. Need it for what? I asked. For the divorce, Amy said, looking at me seriously. You know that's where this is going, right? I did know. I'd known since the moment I saw John standing in the kitchen this morning, healthy and dressed and completely fine. But hearing Amy say it out loud made it real. I can't afford a lawyer, I said. We'll figure it out, Amy said. But right now, you need to protect yourself financially. And you need to protect Connor. Speaking of which, you need to start documenting everything related to her too. Write down how often John sees her, what he says to her, everything. If this goes to a custody battle, you want to show a pattern of neglect. Custody battle. The words made me feel sick. But Amy was right. I needed to think practically, not emotionally. We spent the next 3 hours going through everything. Amy helped me open a new checking account at a different bank. We took screenshots of every concerning transaction from the joint account. We went through John's phone photos that I'd already sent to myself and organized them by date. This is really bad, Amy said at one point, looking at a photo of John and Patricia kissing in front of a sunset. I mean, this is evidence of adultery. And the financial stuff, dissipating marital assets while claiming to be incapacitated. Any mediator or judge is going to see this and rip him apart. Good, I said. I didn't feel guilty about being vindictive. He'd earned it. The next day was Thursday. I had to work, but I couldn't focus on anything. I kept making small mistakes. Put the wrong dosage in a chart. Forgot to return a page from the pharmacy. Walked into a patient's room and completely blanked on why I was there. My supervisor, Janet, noticed. Around 2 in the afternoon, she pulled me into her office and closed the door. What's going on? She asked gently. You're not yourself today. And I just broke. Started crying right there in her office. Big, ugly sobs that I couldn't control. Janet handed me tissues and waited until I could talk. And then I told her everything. About John, the affair, the money, all of it. Oh, honey, Janet said when I finished. I'm so sorry. That's absolutely awful. I don't know what to do, I admitted. I can't afford to not work, but I can't focus. And I have Connor to think about, and I need to figure out where we're going to live because I can't stay in a hotel forever, and I need to find a lawyer somehow. Stop, Janet said firmly. Breathe. You don't have to figure everything out today. Take the rest of the week off. Paid. I'll mark you down for family emergency. I can't. Yes, you can, she said, and I'm going to give you a name. My cousin went through something similar a few years ago. Her husband cleaned out their savings account to fund his gambling addiction while she was pregnant with their second kid. She used this divorce mediator who was amazing. Kept things out of court, which saved her thousands in attorney fees. She still got a fair settlement. Janet wrote down a name and number on a post-it note. Call her. Tell her I sent you. She's good at cases where one spouse has been financially irresponsible. I took the post-it note with shaking hands. Thank you, I said. Really? Thank you so much. We take care of our own here, Janet said, squeezing my shoulder. You're not alone in this. I left work early and called the mediator from my car. Her name was Diane, and she sounded professional but kind on the phone. I explained the situation, and she asked me to send over all the financial documentation I had. Based on what you're telling me, Diane said, you have a very strong case. In this state, dissipating marital assets during separation can be grounds for unequal division. If he spent $17,000 on an extramarital affair while claiming to be mentally incapacitated, that's going to work heavily in your favor. What does that mean exactly? I asked. It means instead of splitting everything 50-50, you could potentially get 65-70%, Diane explained, especially if you can document that you were the sole financial provider for the family during this time. Courts don't look kindly on spouses who lie about their condition to avoid responsibilities while secretly living a double life. Hope flickered in my chest for the first time in days. Okay, what do I need to do? Gather everything, Diane said. Bank statements, credit card statements, any emails or texts related to finances, photos if you have them, any evidence of his affair, and start keeping a log of his interactions with your daughter. Date, time, what happened. If he's been neglecting her, we need to document that too. I told her I'd already started. We scheduled a consultation for the following week. I picked Connor up from Amy's house that evening. My sister had been watching her during my shift. Connor was quiet on the drive back to the hotel, playing with her backpack straps and not really looking at me. Sweetheart, I said gently. Are you okay? When are we going home? Connor asked. Her voice was small. I miss my room. I miss my toys. Soon, I promised, though I didn't know if that was true. I need to ask you something, though. Has Daddy been spending time with you lately? Like before this week? When I thought he was upstairs. Connor shook her head. He's always in his room. Sometimes I hear him talking on the phone, but he doesn't come out. Has he ever mentioned going anywhere? Or seeing any friends? Connor thought about it. One time I asked if he wanted to play, and he said he couldn't because he was tired. But then later I saw him leaving in his car. I asked where he was going and he said the store, but he was gone a really long time, like until nighttime. My heart hurt. She'd known something was off. Kids always know. Thank you for telling me, baby, I said. You didn't do anything wrong, okay? None of this is your fault. Are you and Daddy getting divorced? Connor asked. The question was so direct, it startled me. I don't know yet, I said honestly. Probably. Would that make you sad? Connor was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, Abby's parents are divorced and she has 2 houses now. She says it's okay. She gets 2 Christmases. Kids are resilient. I kept telling myself that. Kids are resilient. But that night, Connor woke up crying from a nightmare. She'd wet the bed, something she hadn't done since she was 4. I changed the sheets and held her while she sobbed, saying she was sorry. She didn't mean to, and I just kept telling her it was okay. Accidents happen. It's not her fault. Amy called the next morning. Come stay with me, she said. I have a spare room. It's small, but it's better than a hotel. You can stay as long as you need. Are you sure? I asked. I don't want to impose. You're not imposing, Amy insisted. You're my sister. You and Connor need stability, and you're not going to get that in a hotel room. Pack your stuff and come over today. So we did. We didn't have much with us anyway, just the clothes we'd grabbed in a hurry, and Connor's backpack. Amy's spare room was small but clean, with a double bed and a little dresser. It would work. While Connor explored Amy's house, excited about the cat and the backyard, I texted John. I'm filing for separation. You need to start contributing to Connor's expenses immediately, and I'm canceling the credit cards you've been using. He responded almost immediately. You can't just cut me off from our money. Watch me, I typed back. Then I called our credit card companies and reported the cards as lost. They'd send new ones to Amy's address. The next few days were a blur of paperwork and phone calls. I spent hours digging through financial records, organizing everything into folders for Diane. I found more than I'd initially noticed. Not just the $17,000, but another $8,000 from earlier months. $25,000 total, gone. On hotels, restaurants, gas, gifts probably, all while I was working overtime to keep us afloat. And then I found something worse. John's laptop was still at the house, and I'd grabbed it when I went back to get more of Connor's things. I felt guilty for about 2 seconds before I started digging through his files, and that's when I found the blog. It was a private blog, something he'd set up through some obscure platform. The entries went back about 18 months. I started reading from the beginning and felt sicker with every post. The first few entries were about his parents dying, about how he felt lost and empty. Typical grief stuff, but then they shifted. One entry from about a year ago. I know I should get up. I know I should help with the house, play with Connor, be a husband again. But honestly, It's easier this way. She doesn't expect anything from me. I can just lie here and everyone leaves me alone. It's almost peaceful. Another, from 8 months ago. Met Patricia at the cabin again today. 3 hours of driving is worth it to feel alive again. She doesn't nag me about getting up or getting a job. She just accepts me as I am. Sometimes I wonder what would happen if I just didn't go home, if I just stayed with her. And then this one, from 5 months ago. Connor tried to get me to play dolls with her this morning. I pretended to be asleep. I know that makes me a terrible father, but I just can't deal with it right now. The truth is, I never wanted kids. I only had Connor because she wanted a baby so badly. I felt trapped then, and I feel trapped now. Patricia doesn't have young kids. Her daughters are teenagers, practically adults. They don't need me for anything. It's a relief. I had to put the laptop down. My hands were shaking too bad to keep scrolling. He never wanted Connor. He'd been pretending this whole time. And the grief, the depression, it had been real at first, but then it became convenient. An excuse to check out. An excuse to avoid being a father, a husband, a partner. I took screenshots of everything. Every single blog post. Every admission of faking the extent of his incapacitation. Every time he wrote about finding relief in avoiding his daughter. Then I went back to the financial records and did what Diane had asked. I made a spreadsheet showing every penny I'd earned in the past 5 years and every penny John had spent. The numbers were staggering. I'd brought in over $400,000 in that time. John had contributed $0, and he'd spent $25,000 on his affair. I felt like I was made of glass, like I might shatter if someone touched me wrong, but I also felt something else. Clarity. For the first time in 5 years, I could see the situation for what it really was. I hadn't failed him. He'd failed me. Failed us. Failed Connor most of all. That Saturday afternoon, I was helping Connor with her homework at Amy's kitchen table when she asked if she could call Daddy. I want to show him my spelling test, she said. I got 100%. My chest tightened, but I handed her my phone. Sure, baby. Go ahead. I watched her dial John's number and wait. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. Connor's face fell. She tried again. Voicemail again. Maybe he's busy, I said gently. He's always busy now, Connor said, and the resignation in her voice broke my heart. She was 6 years old and already learning that her father wasn't reliable. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. John, I answered. You let Connor call me? He said, sounding annoyed. I was in the middle of something. She wanted to tell you about her spelling test, I said flatly. But I guess that's not important. Don't start with me, John said. I'll call her back when I have time. When? I demanded. When will you have time, John? You haven't seen your daughter in almost a week. You haven't asked how she is, if she's okay. Nothing. I've been dealing with stuff, John said vaguely. What stuff? Spending time with Patricia? Silence. Then, I'm not doing this with you right now. You need to see Connor, I said. You're her father. She needs you. I'll see her when things settle down, John said. Right now, everything's too messy. Things are messy because you made them messy, I said. But he'd already hung up. Connor was watching me from the table. Is Daddy mad at me? She asked. No, baby, I said quickly, kneeling down in front of her. Daddy's not mad at you. Daddy's dealing with some grown-up stuff, but he loves you very much. I hated lying to her. But what was I supposed to say? Your father chose his girlfriend over you? Your father admitted in writing that he never wanted you? I couldn't put that on a 6-year-old. Monday morning, I got a call from John's brother, Kevin. We hadn't spoken in months. Hey, he said, sounding awkward. So John called me yesterday asking for money. Said you kicked him out and took everything, and now he can't even afford food. Is that true? Did he tell you why I left? I asked. He said you had a breakdown and became vindictive, Kevin said. Said you're trying to turn Connor against him. I laughed bitterly. Kevin, can I send you something? Sure. I sent him screenshots of the blog, just a few of the worst ones. The one about never wanting Connor, the one about the affair being worth it to feel alive, the one about faking being more depressed than he was. 5 minutes later, Kevin called back. Holy shit, he said. His voice sounded hollow. I had no idea. He told me a completely different story. He made it sound like you just snapped one day. He's been having an affair for 2 years, I said tiredly. He spent $25,000 on it while I worked myself to death, and he's been lying about being bedridden. He was leaving the house every day after I went to work. Jesus, Kevin breathed. I'm so sorry. I should have checked in more. I should have realized something was off. It's not your fault, I said. He was hiding it from everyone. If you need anything, Kevin said. I mean it. Character, witness, whatever. I'll testify to what a piece of shit my brother's being if it helps you and Connor. Thank you, I said, and I meant it. That might actually be really helpful. The mediation consultation with Diane was scheduled for Wednesday. I showed up with a 3-inch binder full of documentation, bank statements, screenshots, blog posts, photos, everything. Diane went through it all methodically, making notes. When she finished, she looked up at me and said, "This is one of the most clear-cut cases of marital misconduct I've seen in years. The blog alone is devastating evidence. Him admitting to exaggerating his condition, to avoiding parental responsibilities, to spending marital funds on an affair. Any mediator or judge is going to eviscerate him. What are my options?" I asked. "I'd recommend proposing a settlement that gives you the house and primary custody of Connor," Diane said. "You take on the mortgage alone, but John keeps his car and his retirement account such as it is. He pays child support, though given he's currently unemployed, it won't be much. Maybe $300 a month. $300? I repeated. That's nothing. It's less than the guidelines suggest, Diane admitted. But the reality is you can't get blood from a stone. If he's not working, he's not making money. You can always petition to increase it later if his circumstances change. What about custody? Given his documented neglect, I'd say primary physical custody with you, with John getting visitation every other weekend, Diane said. That's pretty standard. We can also put in provisions about maintaining a respectful environment during his parenting time. It felt like such a small thing compared to what he'd done. Every other weekend, $300 a month. But I was so tired of fighting. I just wanted it to be over. Let's do it, I said. Diane drafted the proposal. She called John's number and got him to agree to mediation. It took 3 weeks to get a date scheduled. In the meantime, life moved into a weird kind of limbo. I was living at Amy's house. Connor was seeing a child therapist twice a week, a woman named Dr. Brooks, who specialized in kids dealing with parental abandonment. I went back to work but switched to 3 12-hour shifts instead of 5/8 so I could be home with Connor more. John didn't call, didn't text, didn't ask to see Connor. It was like we'd ceased to exist. Then I ran into one of my coworkers, Melissa, at the grocery store. We were friendly, but not friends. The kind of relationship where you chat at work, but don't hang out outside it. Hey, she said, looking uncomfortable. Can I talk to you about something? Sure, I said, though I had a feeling I wasn't going to like this. Melissa glanced around like she was worried someone might overhear. A few years ago, she said slowly, maybe 3 years, I was at the mall in Westfield, and I saw John. My stomach dropped. What? I didn't mention it at the time because I figured I was wrong, Melissa continued. You'd said he was bedridden, super depressed, couldn't leave the house. So when I saw someone who looked just like him walking around the mall carrying shopping bags, I figured it was maybe his brother or something. But now with everything that's happened, I think it was him. I think he was already doing this back then, 3 years ago. Patricia had only been 2 years, which meant he might have been lying even longer than I thought. Did you tell anyone else? I asked. No, Melissa said. Like I said, I thought I was mistaken. I'm really sorry. If I'd known, it's not your fault, I said automatically. But inside I was reeling. 3 years, maybe longer. I started asking around after that, cautiously, just casual questions to neighbors, and the truth started coming out. Mrs. Henderson from 2 doors down. Oh yeah, I'd see John leaving most mornings after you drove off. Always figured it was strange given what you'd said about his condition, but I didn't want to pry. The teenage kid who mowed our lawn? Dude was definitely not bedridden. I saw him outside washing his car a bunch of times. He'd always go back inside when he saw me coming though. The mailman. I delivered packages to your house midday sometimes and John would answer the door. Seemed fine to me. Chatted about football once. 3 different neighbors had seen him leaving regularly, looking normal, acting normal, and nobody had said anything because they didn't want to get involved or assumed they were wrong. I felt like an idiot. All this time, people had known something was off, and I'd been completely clueless, working myself to death while John played pretend. I told Diane about the neighbors. She said their statements would strengthen our case and asked if any of them would be willing to sign affidavits. Mrs. Henderson and the mailman agreed. We added them to the binder of evidence. The mediation date finally arrived. It was set for a Saturday morning at Diane's office. I got there early, my stomach in knots. Amy had stayed home with Connor. Thank God. I didn't want her anywhere near this. John showed up 15 minutes late, and he wasn't alone. He walked in with a woman I'd never seen before but immediately knew was Patricia. She was tall, brunette, probably in her early 40s. She looked nervous. This is Patricia, John said. Like it was totally normal to bring your mistress to your divorce mediation. She's here for moral support. Diane looked at him coldly. Outside parties aren't allowed in mediation unless both parties consent. Does your wife consent to Patricia being present? No, I said immediately. Absolutely not. Then I'm afraid you'll need to wait in the lobby, Diane said to Patricia. Patricia looked at John, who nodded reluctantly. She left without saying anything, but I saw her squeeze his hand as she went. The casual intimacy of it made me want to throw up. Once we were settled in Diane's conference room, she got right to business. I've reviewed all the documentation provided by both parties, she said. John, I've also reviewed the blog posts your wife discovered. Do you dispute the authenticity of those posts? John's face went red. That was private. She had no right. It's not a question of rights, Diane interrupted. It's a question of authenticity. Did you write those posts? Yes, John muttered. And is it true that you were leaving the house regularly during the time you claimed to be bedridden? I was depressed, John said defensively. I needed to feel something other than grief. Patricia helped me feel alive again. By lying to your wife, Diane said flatly. By spending $25,000 of marital funds on an extramarital affair. By neglecting your daughter. I didn't neglect Connor, John protested. I was there. I was in the house. Being in the house and being present are 2 different things, Diane said. She pulled out a sheet of paper. According to your blog, and I quote, Connor tried to get me to play dolls with her this morning. I pretended to be asleep. I know that makes me a terrible father, but I just can't deal with it right now. Does that sound like active parenting to you? John didn't answer. He just looked at the table. Your wife has proposed the following settlement, Diane continued. She slid a paper across to John. She keeps the house and primary physical custody of Connor. She takes on the mortgage payments. You keep your car and your retirement account. You pay $300 a month in child support and get visitation every other weekend. That's bullshit, John said immediately. The house is half mine. I should get half the equity. You spent $25,000 on an affair while claiming to be too depressed to work, Diane said. Her voice was ice cold. In this state, dissipating marital assets during the marriage is grounds for unequal distribution. Your wife has been the sole financial provider for 5 years. She has documentation showing she paid for everything, including your therapy, your education, your food, and you repaid her by lying and cheating. So no, you don't get half the equity. You should be grateful she's offering you anything at all. John's jaw clenched. I want to think about it. I want to get my own lawyer. That's your right, Diane said. But I'll tell you right now, any competent lawyer is going to look at this evidence and advise you to take this deal. Because if this goes to court, you're going to come out with far less. Judges don't look kindly on documented deception and financial misconduct. I need to talk to Patricia, John said, standing up. This is between you and your wife, Diane said sharply. Not Patricia, but John was already walking out. I heard him in the hallway talking in low tones with Patricia. They were out there for at least 20 minutes. He's going to take it, Diane said quietly to me while we waited. Patricia's probably telling him to settle. She's seeing the financial situation and realizing he's not worth fighting over. She was right. John came back in looking defeated. Fine, he said. I'll sign. We spent the next hour going through paperwork, custody arrangements, asset division, support payments. It all felt surreal, like I was watching it happen to someone else. By the time we walked out, it was official. We were separated. The divorce would be finalized in 60 days, pending standard review. But for all intents and purposes, it was over. I sat in my car in the parking lot and cried. Not sad crying. Exactly. More like relief crying. 5 years of drowning, and I was finally coming up for air. John's first scheduled weekend with Connor came 6 weeks later. He was supposed to pick her up Saturday morning at 10. Connor was anxious all morning, asking what she should bring, if Daddy still liked the same foods, if Patricia would be there. I don't know, baby, I said honestly, but you can call me if you need anything. Anytime, okay? 10 o'clock came and went. No, John. I texted him at 10:15. Are you on your way? No response. I called at 10:30. Straight to voicemail. At noon, he finally texted back. Something came up. Can we reschedule? I stared at my phone in disbelief. He'd missed his first official visit with his daughter because something came up. Connor took it surprisingly well, or maybe not surprisingly. Maybe she'd already learned not to expect much from him. It's okay, she said when I told her Daddy couldn't make it. We can watch movies instead. We made popcorn and watched Frozen for the millionth time, and I tried not to think about how John was probably with Patricia, choosing her and her teenage daughters over his own 6-year-old. 2 weeks later, he did show up for his visit, right on time, looking sheepish. Connor was excited but nervous. She grabbed her little backpack and hugged me tight before getting in his car. Call me if you need anything, I reminded her. I'll have my phone on all weekend. She came back Sunday evening quieter than usual. When I asked if she had a good time, she just shrugged. It was okay. Just okay? I prompted gently. Connor played with her shoelaces. Daddy's new house is smaller, and Patricia's daughter was there, the older one. She said you must be crazy if Daddy left. My blood went cold. She said that to you? Connor nodded. Daddy didn't say anything. He just kept watching TV with Patricia. I was furious. I immediately texted John. Connor will not be spending time with Patricia's children if they're going to make cruel comments about her mother. If you can't provide a respectful environment, we'll need to revise custody. John responded an hour later. Don't tell me how to handle my parenting time. What happens when Connor's with me is my business. It becomes my business when your girlfriend's kid bullies our daughter. I shot back. He didn't respond after that. The next visit, 2 weeks later, was different. Connor came back and said she'd stayed in Daddy's room the whole weekend watching movies on a tablet while John and Patricia did things with Patricia's daughters. Did Daddy play with you at all? I asked. A little, Connor said, but she didn't sound convincing. He said he was tired. Of course he was. Same excuse, different setting. I documented everything. Date, time, what happened, what Connor said, just like Diane had told me to. Every missed visit, every time John made Connor feel like an outsider, every time he chose Patricia and her kids over his own daughter. Connor's therapist, Dr. Brooks, started noticing changes. Connor was regressing emotionally, more clingy with me, afraid I'd leave like John had. The bedwetting came back too, not every night but often enough that we had to buy more sheets. She's struggling with feeling abandoned, Dr. Brooks told me in a parent session. She's old enough to understand that her father is choosing to spend time elsewhere. That's very painful for a child her age. They tend to internalize it as their fault. What do? I asked, feeling helpless. Keep being consistent, Dr. Brooks said. Keep showing up for her. Let her talk about her feelings without judgment, and maybe consider whether John's visits are actually helping or hurting right now. If he's unreliable or makes her feel unwanted, it might be better to reduce contact until he can be more present. But I couldn't just decide that unilaterally. We had a custody agreement. Every other weekend, whether John actually engaged with Connor or not. A few months in, I started dating again. Not seriously, just coffee dates here and there. Amy had been pushing me to get out of the house, to do something for myself. I met a guy named Trevor at Connor's school. He was a third-grade teacher, recently divorced himself. We started talking at a parent-teacher conference, and he asked if I wanted to grab coffee sometime. It was nice. Easy. He understood the complications of co-parenting because he was dealing with his own ex-wife. We went on a few casual dinner dates, just talking and getting to know each other. Nothing serious. Of course, Connor mentioned it to John during one of her visits. I hadn't even introduced her to Trevor yet, but she'd overheard me on the phone making plans. John texted me that night, furious. You're exposing Connor to random men? Are you kidding me right now? I'm going on dates. I texted back, not exposing Connor to anyone. She hasn't even met him. You need to be more careful, John wrote. Our daughter doesn't need to see you parading around with strange men. I almost laughed. You brought Patricia to our mediation. You have Connor spending weekends with Patricia and her kids, but I can't go to dinner with someone? That's different, John said. How? He didn't respond. Because he knew it wasn't different. He just didn't like the idea of me moving on. I did end up waiting several more months before introducing Connor to Trevor. I wanted to be sure it was going somewhere first. And when I finally did introduce them, it was casual. Just the three of us getting ice cream. Nothing heavy. Connor liked him. He was good with kids, obviously, and he didn't try too hard. Just treated her like a normal kid, asked about school, made dumb jokes. It was nice to see her laugh with an adult male who actually showed up and engaged with her. The papers came in the mail on a Tuesday. Official divorce decree. Final and complete. 9 years of marriage. Over. Finished. I signed my name at the bottom and felt nothing. Maybe I should have felt sad, but mostly I just felt tired and relieved. Connor's therapist reported good news at our next session. She's really improving, Dr. Brooks said. Now that she has consistent expectations and routine with you, and she's not constantly hoping her father will change, she's much more stable. The nightmares have stopped completely. No more bedwetting. She's doing great in school. She still struggles with her dad, though, I said. She doesn't want to go to his place. She cries when I drop her off sometimes. That's because she's learned he won't prioritize her, Dr. Brooks said gently. She knows she'll be sidelined in favor of Patricia's family. That's painful, but it's also teaching her to protect herself emotionally. Eventually, she'll decide how much contact she wants with him. John's child support payments started 4 months after the divorce was finalized. The first one was on time, $300, deposited on the first of the month. The second one was 2 weeks late and $50 short. I almost called him about it but decided it wasn't worth the fight. Amy had reminded me that I was making good money on my own now. I'd gotten a small raise at work. We were managing fine. Chasing John for $50 would just give him power over me, make it seem like I needed him when I didn't. The third payment was a week late. The fourth payment didn't come at all until I sent him a text reminder. Then he sent it grudgingly with a message saying he was between jobs and it was hard right now. I didn't respond. Just noted the pattern in my custody documentation file. Connor's visits with John became more irregular. He'd cancel at the last minute or show up late. Sometimes he'd forget to pack her medication or send her back without the clothes she'd brought. Small things, but they added up. Connor stopped asking to call him, stopped being excited about visits. She'd go because she had to, because I told her it was important to see her dad, but there was no joy in it anymore. Do I have to go to Daddy's this weekend? She asked me one Saturday morning. She was 7 now, old enough to understand what she was feeling. Yes, baby, I said, even though it hurt. The judge said you spend every other weekend with Daddy. But he doesn't even play with me, Connor said. Her bottom lip trembled. He just watches TV with Patricia, and her daughters are mean. They say I'm spoiled because I still sleep with a nightlight. I knelt down in front of her. You're not spoiled. And there's nothing wrong with nightlights. Lots of kids use them. Can't you tell Daddy I don't want to go? Connor asked. I can tell him, I said carefully, but it's up to the adults to decide. You and Daddy need to spend time together. Even as I said it, I wondered if it was true. Was forcing this relationship helping her or hurting her? Dr. Brooks had said kids eventually decide how much contact they want. Maybe I should let Connor make that choice, but not yet. She was too young. So I kept sending her every other weekend, kept documenting John's lack of engagement, kept hoping something would change. Through mutual friends, I heard that John and Patricia moved in together. They'd gotten a 2-bedroom apartment on the other side of town. Patricia's teenage daughters lived with them full-time. I also heard that John still wasn't working. Patricia had a job as a dental hygienist, so she was supporting both of them plus her kids, and apparently she wasn't happy about it. My friend Becky lives in their building. Amy told me one night. She says they fight constantly, loud arguments about money. Patricia's getting tired of supporting a grown man who won't get a job. Good, I said. I didn't feel bad about being petty. He deserved whatever struggles he was having. Becky also said John's drinking, Amy added carefully. Like, a lot. She sees him coming home from the liquor store multiple times a week. That worried me. Do you think Connor's safe with him? I don't know, Amy admitted, but maybe it's something to watch. I made a note to ask Connor more pointed questions after her next visit. She came back that Sunday and everything seemed normal. No signs of John being drunk or unsafe, but I stayed vigilant. The months blurred together. Work, Connor, therapy appointments, the occasional date with Trevor that was turning into something more serious. Life moved forward in a way it hadn't been able to when I was trapped in that house with John. Connor's 8th birthday came and went. John sent a card with a $20 bill and said he couldn't make her party because he had plans. The plans were probably with Patricia's family. Connor barely seemed to notice. She was too busy with her friends and the trampoline we'd rented for the backyard. I stood there watching her bounce and laugh with her school friends, and I realized something. We were okay. More than okay. We were happy. Not the life I'd imagined when I married John. Not the fairy tale. But it was real and it was ours and it was enough. John's support payments had become a joke at this point. Sometimes they came, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they were $50 short, sometimes $100. I stopped chasing him for them. I didn't need his money. I had a good job and Amy's support and we were managing just fine. Connor sees John once a month now, Maybe. He cancels more often than he shows up. And honestly, Connor doesn't seem to mind. She's built a life that doesn't revolve around waiting for him to be the father he should be. She has friends, school activities, a cat that Amy gave her for Christmas. She has me, present and reliable and showing up every single day. She has Trevor now too, who treats her with kindness and respect and never promises more than he can give. The divorce was supposed to end with John getting every other weekend, but in practice, he barely sees her at all. His child support is sporadic at best, but we don't need him to be stable. We've learned to be stable without him.